Hello, beautiful beings. Thank you so very much for dropping by this video. My name is Arthur. I talk about the difference between traditional Advaita Vedanta and modernized non-duality, often called Neo-Advaita, or I like to call it Neo-Non-Duality or fake non-duality. And specifically, not just the difference, but why Neo-Non-Duality is harmful, and maybe the most important thing that I talk about, how to recover from it. If you're new to this channel, a very warm welcome and a warm welcome back to anyone who's been there before. I just woke up from a nap. I'm a little sleepy, but I think this will go well. But I just found some interesting comments on Facebook. So very briefly, someone was responding to something that I said. And, I pointed out some problems with Neo-Advaita, Neo-Non-Duality. And someone responded, and they were basically agreeing with me. And they said, I agree. They said, I agree with what you said. But when I read Ashtavakra Gita, that's a particular traditional Advaita Vedanta text, an old Advaita text, I too get this vibe of nothing matters. They all the time say, world is an illusion, body and mind illusion, abandon all that and find the self. Abandon all desires, and so on. It's not much different, I guess. It's really rare to find ancient Advaita Vedanta saying, all is meaningful. Nisargadatta Guru also said to give up the world, desire, everything is a dream, a fake illusion, etc. I mean, I find that pretty bad. I'm not feeling well on this stuff. I lost too much contact with reality and the world and my humanness. So my heart goes out to you. Thank you so much for writing. I'm moved to tears when I read the last thing that you wrote. I mean, I find this person's been basically exploring Neo-Advaita, and they said, I mean, I find that pretty bad. I'm not feeling well on this stuff. I lost too much contact with reality and the world and my humanness. So my heart is with you. I can really relate to that last thing you said. A big part of my journey on this, what I've been talking about for the last year on this channel, is my journey of reconnecting to my humanity, to meaning, to finding meaning in life. So just my heart goes out to you. And I sometimes still feel that way. It's very much a minority experience, but I sometimes struggle a little bit with some of the exact feelings that you're talking about. So just first and foremost, that's just my heart is with you. I feel you. I'd also like to say you're not alone. Many other people find themselves in similar spaces, or believe it or not, even worse, darker spaces than what you've in the place you find yourself in. So first and foremost, it's been a while. I checked out the Ashtavakra Gita a long time ago, and old Advaita. And so you talk about old Advaita text. So first and foremost, so some of the people who've been here know this. Some people who haven't been here don't know this about me. I've actually studied with traditional Advaita teachers, like people who had a teacher, who had a teacher, who had a teacher, all the way back to Shankara. Multiple different traditional Advaita teachers. One of the first things they all said is, when you want to awaken, when you want to pursue Advaita, when you're ready for suffering to end, go find a guru. Like, that's one traditional Advaita text that I studied. That was literally one of the first teachings. When you want to awaken, the text said something like, put yourself at the feet of a guru. In Advaita Vedanta, we are 1,000% not meant to go study these texts on our own. And all of us do it. And not all of us, but many of us have done it and gotten ourselves into quite a mess. Partially, there's many reasons. One of the reasons is that we're actually not studying the text. Moo, hey Moo, I'll respond to your comment in a minute. We're studying translations of the text. And so that's very problematic. One of the key things I learned in studying with traditional Advaita teachers is Advaita Vedanta is precise. It's like the definitions are like precise, like rocket science precise. And you need to have the correct definition or you're going to get yourself in trouble. For example, you'll say, this person wrote, abandon all desires. Well, you might find some texts that say that. You might find some translations that say that. But when you go to the original text, more often than not, you're going to find it says, abandon raga, or cultivate vairagya. Raga means binding desire. Vairagya means not quite detachment, but like dispassion. So the idea of abandoning all desires is dangerous. It's literally dangerous. No desire, no eating. No desire, no go to work. Like, you need desire. I'm not saying that there aren't traditional Advaita texts that don't say abandon all desire, but that's not the actual teaching. And the actual teaching is to cultivate vairagya, dispassion. One Advaita teacher explained it to me like this: is that it's a process of cultivation of dispassion, which is a kind of attachment. The way she explained it to me was, you may still want something. The example she used would often, you may still want a chai, but if you don't get the chai, you're okay. You're still feel whole. So the idea of abandoning desire is very, very dangerous. And in fact, the Bhagavad Gita. Now, before I get into the Gita, so let's be clear. So Advaita Vedanta is based on 3 texts: the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita. So all these different texts that you've read and other people have read, in essence, they are all commentaries on these 3 texts. So there's kind of this built-in assumption that you are somewhat familiar with these 3 texts, right? Like, to go read something else and not know about these 3 texts is not a good idea. For example, the Bhagavad Gita talks about what to do with desire. And it provides a very systematic approach to working with desire. And it's a deep topic, but I'm gonna pause there, and I'm gonna take Moo's comment, and then I'm gonna come back to a little bit more of what this person wrote. We seekers always underestimate the risk of exploration. I believe deep down we have an innate respect and humility for it. It's so true. And part of it's, I think, the vibe that's offered in a Neo-Advaita satsang of like, just go for it. Like, no big deal. Just inquire. Just think you don't exist. Just abandon all desire. Like, it's kind of like casual. Just abandon all desire and seek the self. Like this person, like on the surface, it's like, okay, I'll do that. But it's an intense process. The person, they might as well say, hey, just reverse your sexual desire and become something different. Like, it's that intense of a process. For most of us, there are a few ripe souls who it's a casual process. But for most of us, this journey is deep and intense. And the traditional Advaita teachers I've studied with, they all have a very kind of like gentle pace, a systematic approach. They're like not in a hurry. Where Neo-Advaita is kind of like fast food. And so, Moo, you're right on, is that the risks of exploration. And that's the other thing, is we don't realize, oh, I'm exploring. I'm playing with my sense of reality. I'm playing with my desire system, which is considered fundamental. In traditional Advaita Vedanta, you need desire. You use desire, not just the desire for liberation, but you start with the desire for how to, in harmonious ways, earn money. Like if you don't have that one down, you're going to get in trouble. And then harmonious ways to pursue desire. If you don't have that one down, you're going to get in trouble. And then harmonious ways to pursue virtue. You don't have that one down and you try and pursue liberation. If you don't have those are, in traditional Vedic thought, it said there's 4 primary desires: security, pleasure, righteousness, and liberation. But if you try to pursue liberation and you're not good at, earning money, being secure physically, having a healthy relationship with pleasure, and having a sense of ethics and a sense of harmony, if you try and pursue liberation before you have those, you're in big trouble. And no traditional teacher would teach you to do those things, to pursue liberation until those parts of your system are balanced. Mio, glad it resonates. And so in traditional Advaita, there's so many things I could say, but the time is an illusion, body is a mind illusion. So I've covered this one a lot. Short version, in traditional Advaita, the illusion is that these things are separate from the eternal, and that it has to do with misperceiving their reality. It's not that they don't exist. There's a very specific Sanskrit word for non-existent. And it's not that they don't exist, it's that they're temporary, right? So when I look at my wall right now, I'm actually misperceiving its reality because I'm not currently perceiving the eternal. If I was enlightened, don't like that word, but I'm going to use it. If I was enlightened, I could look at the wall and recognize, oh, that wall is temporary. Oh, that book is temporary. But I don't, because I'm not enlightened. So I'm misperceiving. I over-perceive its reality and assume oh, that's permanent. I really have to think and be like, oh, wait, that book, that picture hasn't always existed and won't always exist. So and different teachers will have different flavors on it. The traditional teachers will have different flavors on it. But the idea that it doesn't exist, that's not what they teach in Advaita Vedanta. That's Neo-Advaita, and it's very dangerous and harmful. And then this person continued. It's really rare to find ancient Advaita Vedanta saying all this is meaningful. That's true. Advaita doesn't really focus on that. It focuses on the process. See, okay, I don't like to say this often, but here you go. Here's the full Monty of Advaita Vedanta. So Advaita means it does mean non-dual, but it also means not two. That there are 2 primary realities. There is, and there are different words for them. There is Brahman, the absolute, and there is Maya, creation. Maya doesn't mean illusion, by the way, in traditional Advaita, although it can in certain contexts. This is why you need a guru. But let's say Brahman and creation. There's the absolute reality and there's the relative creation. And so Shankara said, Brahman alone is Sat. Sat means, it gets translated as real. That's not a good translation. It means eternal, unchanging, absolute. The second statement Shankara said was, the world is Asat. The world is not eternal. The world is not permanent. The world is not absolute. Okay, Brahman is Sat. The world is Asat. And then the third statement, the world is Brahman. So traditional Advaita Vedanta is this whole process of recognizing that wall is not eternal. There is an eternal reality. That wall is not it. There is an eternal reality. That wall is not the eternal reality. And then, holy blankety blank, that wall is the eternal reality. And not having it up here, but having it be a lived knowing. That's where the meaning comes in. Now, ultimately, Advaita Vedanta would say yes. There's kind of this sense of, well, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to keep it really simple. This is the thing is Advaita Vedanta is deep. Neo-Advaita is shallow. Hallmark card cliches that are often based on mistranslations. The person also mentioned Nisargadatta Guru also said to give up the world desires. Everything is a dream, a fake illusion. So I don't view Nisargadatta as a guru. Why? Because no guru gave him permission to teach. He had a dream that his teacher said it was time for him to teach. And so, and again, so Nisargadatta also, he didn't teach Advaita Vedanta. He was in a different lineage. Yes, it was a non-dual philosophy, but not Advaita. So the thing is to be clear that we're dealing with different lineages, and I don't think he was a legitimate guru. I'm not saying that he didn't have a profound awakening experience and maybe found freedom from suffering, but no guru taught him how to teach. And his teaching is very, it's messy. His teaching is like, just realize this and you'll be free. But he spent 3 years in intense meditation. He doesn't even teach what his guru taught him. He made up his own message. And he really is the grandfather of Neo-Advaita. He's one of the main reasons we have Neo-Advaita. So I'd like to say that again. Nisargadatta had a traditional guru, non-Advaita lineage. This traditional guru taught Nisargadatta philosophy and technique. Nisargadatta practiced it intensely for 3 years, all of his spare time spent in meditation. He had a profound awakening experience, and then he had a dream that this guru told him, okay, it's time for you to go teach. He started teaching, and then he taught something completely different from what his guru taught. He literally made up his own teaching. So I respect him profoundly as a spiritual practitioner. I would never look to him as a guru. Based on these facts, what I just told you is facts. He had a guru. His guru taught him one thing. He practiced deeply. Then he taught something different than what his guru taught. And what he teaches is he borrows language of Advaita Vedanta, but it also contradicts what other teachers teach. So I would stay clear of Nisargadatta. For my sanity, I don't associate with Nisargadatta. And you do whatever you do. Mew said, that happened to me for a brief moment, many years ago when listening. It's like, how is not free will determinism? Is it both? Well, free will or determinism is a deep topic, which I don't feel qualified to hop into. What I will say is Ramana Maharshi said something along the lines of, I forget the exact quote, that you need to make effort. He said, at a certain point, you'll get to the point where it's not possible to make effort. But as long as you, in essence, as long as you feel like you can make effort, you need to. And so I keep it very practical and pragmatic. So let's see if there's anything else. So this person wrote, I lost too much contact with reality, the world, and my humanness. So traditional Advaita Vedanta integrates your humanness into your living through the teaching of Dharma. See, Neo-Advaita is like armchair philosophy. It's fascinating, but it doesn't teach you how to live. Traditional Advaita teaches to practice Dharma. Dharma is behaving harmoniously and integrating yourself into society and finding your place in society, doing your duty as a form of service to the divine, as something that moves you towards liberation. So it gives you a way of living. Neo-Advaita is completely disconnected from, completely disconnects people from society, from other humans, and it gives them no map for how to live. It teaches you how to dissociate and how to think deep thoughts. But let's keep in mind, these deep thoughts contradict actual Advaita Vedanta teachings, such as the world is an illusion. Traditional Advaita doesn't teach that. It'll use that language a little bit, but in a very qualified sense. Let's see if I can find a quote. Ramana spoke on this. Ramana Maharshi said, the teaching that the world is an illusion is a thorn used to remove a thorn. The teaching is and this is someone else commenting on that. The teaching is a concept used to remove another concept before they are both thrown away. Here's another quote of Ramana. The seeker ultimately reaches the self and they find there is unity as the prevailing note. Then that which was originally rejected as being unreal is found to be part of the unity. Being absorbed in the reality, the world also is real. I'll put a quote to that. Let's see. Here's a quote from Ramana. There is no universe without the self. So long as the man does not see the self, which is the origin of all, but looks only at the external world as real and permanent, you have to tell him that all this external universe is an illusion. You cannot help it. So it's a very deep topic, which I feel qualified to give an introduction to, but I'm gonna post this link, which has some quotes, and I'm gonna say, one sec, Moo, that's a great question. Okay, Moo said, do you believe in non-physical entities that are evil? Sorry if this is out of scope. So I do. So as I've shared on here, Advaita Vedanta is not my path. If I really have a deep question, a metaphysical question, I look to, there's two things I look to. I look to a teacher named Bruno Gröning, who I've started to talk about here. I've made a website about him, and I'll post a link to that. And I also look to the Buddha, and the Buddha categorically affirmed, he said that the world is in between existent and non-existent, and that yes, non-physical entities do exist. So I feel like the Buddha is just such a clear teacher, and when I have questions, I look to his teaching. So to the person who wrote this originally, thank you so much for your thoughts. I feel you. I hear you. I hope this was helpful. And I hope this can point you in some directions that are helpful. Moo, thanks for dropping by. Appreciate your thoughts and your questions. And let's see, how do I want to close? So we can get all philosophical. Is the world an illusion? Is Neo-Advaita different from Advaita Vedanta? That's the main message of my channel, by the way. Neo-Advaita is very different than traditional Advaita. And to circle where I started with, if you're studying Advaita Vedanta texts on your own, you're doing Neo-Advaita. Non-duality is not something to be done on your own. So we can get all philosophical. The long and short of it is, Neo-Advaita doesn't work. I verified that. For me is just a fact. I verified it in my own experience. Moo has verified it. This person on Facebook. Lots of us have verified that Neo-Advaita doesn't work. And not only does it not work, it takes many people, not everyone, but it takes many people into a downward dark direction. So so what popped the bubble for me was realizing that Neo-Advaita is different from traditional Advaita. I already knew that it didn't work, but I was like addicted to it. It's kind of like an addiction. And ultimately, if you go very far down the Neo-Advaita rabbit hole, my belief is the only way out is grace. Through the intervention of what Mew mentioned is non-physical entities, meaning gurus or helpers who aren't in a body or are in a body, finding a traditional guru, and also prayer and being open to grace. Grace is very real. Ramana Maharshi spoke about grace often and the need for it. And in traditional Advaita Vedanta, it's recognized that we can't enlighten ourselves. We need grace. We need a guru. And ultimately, we also need the power of Brahman. Like, you can't force enlightenment or liberation or moksha. That's like traditional Advaita 101. Neo-Advaita is like, just inquire and you'll be free, or just let go of this concept and you'll be enlightened. So it starts, what else do I want to say? So there's humility. There's humility that's built into traditional Advaita. And that humility is not lacking. And in some ways, I think the whole Neo-Advaita movement is based around lack of humility. So, Vedic philosophy 101, the supreme power is Brahman. The second most powerful force in the universe is the force of illusion or delusion. And then there's you. The power of illusion, or the power that creates this sense of separation, it has the power of God behind it. It's infinite. It's limitless. You, I, we cannot overcome it on our own. We can do Neo-Advaita nonsense and be like, well, I don't exist, or illusion doesn't exist. There is no blah, 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 blah. Anyone can talk armchair philosophy, but if you want to live in the experience of freedom, then there's this humility of, I need a guru and I need grace. And what is grace? That's a good one, Moo. I'm gonna leave that one for another time. I'm just how about this? An unearned gift, unearned kindness is a great way to think of grace. And I wish everyone a blessed, blessed day. I wish everyone beautiful healing. And actually, I'm going to close with a prayer. Hey, Chris. Infinite mind for infinite mind, infinite love. Okay, I don't know exactly what to say to that, but I'm going to close this out with a prayer. infinite, limitless goodness all around us, within us, all helpers, especially any pure teachers connected to traditional Advaita. Please, for myself, for everyone who dropped by this video, for everyone who comes by this channel, and everyone who is struggling with Neo-Advaita, and for this beautiful being who wrote this, who wrote the comments that I responded to. Please, grace and mercy. Please, support on the path. Please, lead people to the resources that they need to find their way out, of the miserable mental loop that is Neo-Advaita, out of the quote, I sometimes call it a false awakening, out of the mental maze that Neo-Advaita creates, back to peace, back to themselves, back to living, back to life, and back to their humanity. Ramana Maharshi exemplified the best of us. He didn't just sit around and talk. He was a mountaineer. He wrote poems. He translated books. He wept on the day that Gandhi was assassinated. And he had a sense of humor. He really exemplified the best of what it was to be a human being. And please help all of us on that journey of being the best human we can, and finding freedom, and thank you. Oh my God. I don't know what to say. No, thank you, Chris. Someone came on and said, infinite mind for thinking, infinite mind, infinite love. I am an infinite mind meditation teacher. I can show you the way if you are truly interested. I can show you your full potential with the power of with the power of infinity. And then collapse infinite into unity on every level. And then Chris Torres wrote, love. And then Moo wrote, it's a trap, which is a quote from Star Wars. And I'll give you another quote from Star Trek. Shields up, Captain. Captain Kirk was flying into a very dangerous situation, and he didn't have his shields up. And Mr. Chekhov said, shields up, Captain. So Chris, you be you, but you do you, Chris. So the thing is, you know what? I think. Well, Chris wrote, but you won't give me a chance. Well, Chris, like, let's say you were a pretty woman, and I walk up to you and I go, you are so pretty. Like, I like you so much. I know that we don't know each other, but you are so pretty. Can I ask you out on a date? Will you go out on a date with me? Do you think that woman would give the guy a chance? Probably not. So that's called gaslighting. Like, yeah, but you won't give me a chance. Like, be open-minded. So Chris, basically you messed up and now you're making it about us. So that's how Neo-Advaita operates. So maybe reflect on your approach. And then, like, try again. Like, we're not the only pretty women at the ball, so just work on your approach. And And maybe it'll go better next time. I hope this dialogue is saved. I mean, this is classic. And I don't mean to make light, but your timing's kind of funny. And coming on to a channel that's about helping people recover from Neo-Advaita. So, Elena, I thought I was done, but love isn't actually talked a lot about in traditional Advaita Vedanta, which is one of the reasons that it's not the path that resonates most with me. But, Ramana said something very beautiful. Ramana said that, and it's funny, Ramana is not, he teaches some traditional Advaita, but he also is not. It's very interesting. But he said that, I'm going to find the quote because I don't want to butcher it. But so, one sec. Love itself is the actual form of God. It's a quote from Ramana. So, it's a very deep statement. Traditional Advaita doesn't talk a lot about love. So Chris, when I gave the example about the pretty woman, Chris writes, this is about pure principles, not physical judgment. Chris, I think you're missing, I think you're not tracking. So tracking is an important skill when navigating the physical universe. So brother, I'm assuming you're brother, the way you're coming off is like very dissociated and you're not connected to what's happening here. You're these big ideas, and this is a social situation. There's a group of us here that are doing something specific. You show up and do something different, and then we're like giving you feedback, but you're not taking the feedback. And you're turning it around and trying to prove yourself right and make it be about us. So here's Chris said, people want to put a label on you, then cast you aside. Yeah. And then Chris wrote, mercy and kindness, that we're not being mercy and kind. Well, yeah, I hope this is educational for other people. I hope this is educational for you, Chris. I don't think it will be, but I hope it is. And yeah, right. Well, you just got here in the middle of a prayer. I was literally praying and you're like, I can teach you the way of the infinite mind. And we're giving you feedback and you're not taking it. So, yeah. So that was interesting. Let's sit for a moment. Thank you, Samadhana Yoga. That proves your point on how Neo-Advaita works and doesn't work. It's not functional. Chris, Chris wrote, I'm just saying I actually can teach you. No, you can't. Because you're not able to participate in a social situation in a harmonious manner. So all you could teach us is dissociation. That's all that you could really teach us. And I'm not interested in learning how to dissociate. I'm interested in learning how to be happy and be a harmonious participant in life. And so you're doubling down. Myself and other people have given you feedback and you're like, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. So, yeah, you never know with live TV. You never know what's going to happen. And I feel, Chris, what I feel from you is you're a very earnest, kind, excited, and inspired person. I feel that. I feel your goodness. And Dun, 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 dun. Hey, so thank you, everyone. And this took a very interesting direction. And but yeah, it was educational, and I hope this chat is saved. And thank you, everybody, so much. Take care and big love. I'm just gonna let, if anyone wants to chat further, I'm gonna leave the channel going for a minute because you guys are chit-chatting. And I'm hoping that this chat will be saved. So if anyone else wants to say anything, please do. I don't want to cut people off. I feel that, Chris. I feel that you have good intentions. Yeah, I feel that. Yep. That's a cool name. Hiranyakashuju. For me, Advaita meetings seem to be a healing space, but at the same time, it supports being passive and neglecting important life issues. Can you say something about this? Well, first of all, welcome, Hiranyakashipu. Interesting name. I do feel in some meetings, I do feel a healing energy. And so the first thing is, I'm just going to call you Hiranyakashipu. I'm going to call you Huron, so because I don't want to mispronounce your name. So I differentiate between Neo-Advaita meetings and Advaita. Most of the meetings you go to are going to be Neo-Advaita, which are, they've taken Advaita, traditional non-duality, and they've radically changed it. And so that's the first thing, is you're probably going to Neo-Advaita meetings. And there is a kind of healing energy that can be felt there. The problem is it's connected with teachings that are untrue and harmful. And as you said, neglecting, creating passivity, and then lead to neglecting important life issues. So I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on in what you're feeling, is that there is an energy there that shows up in those places, and that the teachings, however, can lead to deep harm. So, so I would invite you to learn the difference between traditional Advaita and Neo-Advaita. And I have a website, and I don't charge money. I'm not trying to sell anything. So I'm going to post that website in the chat. In fact, I'm going to give you the link to some traditional Advaita, so that you can, first of all, my whole website helps people learn the difference between Advaita and Neo-Advaita. And then I'm going to post a specific page that has some resources to help you learn more about the difference between the two. So, yeah, the live chat will be saved, so other people can listen and learn. All right, beautiful beings, I'm going to take off now. And Chris had, what would you say about the multiplicity of unity? Well, where I'm at, Chris, is I'm not interested in philosophy unless it helps me in my day-to-day life. And the reflecting on things like the multiplicity of unity, it just doesn't, it's not helpful for me. It might be helpful for you. It might be helpful for someone else. Yeah. All right, beautiful beings. Thank you so very much for dropping by. And I wish you a blessed, blessed day. Take care. Big love. And actually, before I go, thank you everyone for your participation. And Chris, thank you as well. Um, Moo and Samadama Yoga. And Elena, thanks for dropping by. And Hiranyakashipu, thank you so much. Yes, Samadama Yoga. Yes, it was interesting, huh? Big love.